Hello everybody, my name's Nat. It's very weird to be talking to a camera when I've never really done much in the way of filming videos before. I feel like I should have put some googly eyes on my lens so that I can make sure I'm looking at it instead of staring off into the middle distance, as I'm sure that I'm about to spend most of this video doing. I'll try not to. But I was inspired to make this video by Steve Donahue of BookTube fame or infamy or whatever you want to call it, renown maybe. Because the other day he was talking about how he wanted to find a real community on Authortube. And that is also something that I have kind of been looking for. I would love to have a space to just sort of openly talk and honestly talk about like the personal process of writing and what I'm doing and what I'm up to. And I think that from what I've seen on YouTube, a lot of people are really focused on doing like craft videos or aspirational publishing content, like either here is the process of getting traditionally published and here is how I'm aiming to do that, or here is how to write to the market for self-publishing. And I think a lot of that content is very great and useful for many people, but it's not really the type of thing that I am looking for, especially because I am not currently aspiring to be a traditionally published author. It would be nice if it happened someday, but it's not something that I'm actively working towards right this second. And I'm also not really interested in self-publishing. My main niche is as a web serial author. I publish all my work online pretty much, and I write it serially, chapter by chapter. And I don't think I've ever seen a single other person on YouTube talking about writing web serials. So at the very least, I would like to provide some company for anybody else who's in that boat with me, because it's a fun boat to be in, but it does have its own really unique challenges. I don't think that I want to, on this channel, talk very much about craft advice or the technical aspects of either writing or publishing your work online. I don't think that I'm really qualified to give that kind of advice. Maybe I am, but I also just don't like being very prescriptive as a person. I don't like telling people what they should and shouldn't do and what the best way to do things is, because I have my own very idiosyncratic way of doing things. So it's like, if you are doing things my way, I don't know what you're doing with your life. So on this channel, I think mostly I would like to talk about my personal writing process and like how things are going for me and what I'm working on and what I'm up to. I would also love to spend some time talking about other people's work that I enjoy. So I do try to read a lot of web serials because it's the genre that I write in, so it's good to be up on what's going on in the world. And so I'd like to introduce some of that work to a broader audience, because man, it is hard out there to get people to find your work, especially if you are writing something that is boundary pushing or something that is just not something that people know that they're looking for. And I think it's best practice, or at least good karma, to spread people's work through word of mouth. I think that that's a really fun thing for me to do. And it's not a genre of writing that gets talked about very much. And I might also make some tutorial content, but on very concrete things, like here's how to typeset a book in InDesign. I love typesetting. I think it is really extremely fun. And it is fun to share that knowledge with other people. So you can get your own books printed out through print-on-demand services. Because there is nothing more fun than holding your book in your hand. I would show you some, but I gave all of my copies away to one of my friends, so I don't have them with me. So I guess I should talk a little bit about who I am. So like I said, I am a web serial author. I write mainly science fiction. So I have two main web serials that I work on. The first one is called In the Shadow of Heaven, and it is a science fiction web serial that I started working on all the way back in 2018. It was basically the first project that I ever seriously worked on, and it has been a total blast to write. The series is 3 books long plus one sort of prequel spin-off book that stands alone. And back in 2018, 2019, I wrote the first 2.5 books of it. And then I was like, oh boy, this was the first thing I ever wrote. I was getting all of my mistakes out of the way on this project. So I decided in 2022 totally rewrite it from the ground up. So currently the entire first book is done in the rewritten version. I am currently working on the spin-off prequel. I'm like a third of the way through that. And the second book exists in its original form. And the third book is like halfway existing in its original form. So that project is sort of in a messy state. It's got like 1 million words in it total, but only a couple 100,000 are actually what I would consider worth reading right now. The second main web serial that I work on is called A Wheel Inside a Wheel, and that is a fan fiction series of the anime Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which is an anime from the early 90s that's about 2 warring galactic powers. And the premise of my fan fiction is, what if the main character from each of those factions swap sides at the beginning of the story? That project has been really like the greatest thing in my life to work on. It's currently about 875,000 words long across, don't make me count. I don't remember how many books it is. I think it's like 7 books currently. I could list them out, but I'll do a different video that has like, here is all of my projects. That can be its own video. Anyway, that project has been really absolutely fantastic to work on. I've had such a great response for it, even though this is an anime that like 10 people total have seen. Despite the like overall audience for it being pretty small, people have been like so nice to me about it. The anime is much more popular in China, so I've actually gotten 2 Chinese fan translations, which has been like the greatest honor of my entire life. I honestly never ever expected that someone would enjoy my work enough to spend so much time and effort just to share it with a wider audience. It has been like an incredibly humbling experience, and I'm like so grateful. I honestly do not even have the words for how grateful I am for that. Yeah, so I'll do another video, like I said, talking about each of my projects in more detail. And I've also written a bunch of other smaller books. There's like a contemporary mystery novel and a couple other things. So I'll talk about those later, but this is just my introduction to YouTube and what I hope to be accomplishing here in the future, which is making videos just sort of about writing and about how it's going for me, and I don't know, finding a space to talk to like-minded fellows. So thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next one.